Joining us now, trying to keep control of the Senate in Republican hands, is Mark Peake. Good to have you with us, Mark.
John, good morning. Great to be here. We had a great debate last night in Farmville, and that's great news about Tom Perriello is the former congressman in the 5th District. Now the Democrats got some fun. So we'll see if that splits their party up a little bit, and certainly it'll make things a little trickier for them in the governor's election in November. So we got fun all around now, John.
It's going to be certainly an exciting primary season in 2017, and I'm telling you right now, I'm just saying it on the record, don't count Tom Perriello out of this race. And I tell you what, Mark, as an aficionado of politics as we are, the fact that he was able to keep this under wraps, because you figure that he didn't just get up the other day and say, I think I'm going to run for governor, right?
It generally doesn't happen that way. I was just talking about him with some people in the last several weeks. Just, what's he been doing? I know he'd been on some board or some organization in D.C., but he's a good candidate. He won the 5th in a big upset, and he's a good campaigner. So he's going to be and Northam is not overly exciting, so it's going to be an interesting primary for the Democrats.
It's going to be a dogfight. He was a big backer of Barack Obama, and he got elected in 2008 when Obama got in, upsetting Republican Congressman Virgil Goode in that race, right?
Yes, that's
he beat
correct.
Virgil Goode, and then he got ousted in 2010.
Yeah, he was just a one term, and Robert Hurt did a great job to beat him with the 2010 wave, and we've been able to hold it since then. But it's been adjusted a little bit. The 5th was after in 2010 redistricting. It's a little more conservative than it was then. But he's a good campaigner, so that'll be an interesting primary to watch. But we got a good one coming up right here. Our special election on January 10th, Tuesday, just 5 days away now, John. We're really excited about where we stand, and we're ready to win and hold the Senate for Republicans.
Okay, Mark Peake, tell us about your debate last night. How did it go?
It went very well, and there's three main areas of distinction between me and the other two candidates that came out immediately. First and foremost, I was the only candidate to state that I would not vote to expand Medicaid under the Obamacare plan. The other two kind of waffled and said they'd look at it, and that means that's a yes in debate terms. Another issue was the minimum wage, and my opinion is it's not the state's job or government's job to set wages. And the other two, the Democrat was in favor of the wage proposals, and I believe the Independent was as well, and said something about, kind of rambled on. I got to tell you, if you go listen to the debate, it's on Facebook and various places, they had a very difficult time giving just an answer on the issue. Are you for this or are you for that? Another one, of course, is pro-life issues. I am pro-life, have been pro-life, and have stated it for the past 20, 25, 30 years. And Bryant Washington is not. He's pro-choice. He made that very clear. And then the Independent gave some rambling answer, which clearly is not pro-life. And in the newspaper article on today, the News and Advance, the author of that article said that's the second time he's not really gotten much of an answer from the Independent candidate, which pretty much shows you that there is only one conservative, one Republican in this race on January 10th, and that's me. It's going to be me or the Democrat. And I hope everybody who listens to your show realizes that and gets out to go vote on January 10th, because if you don't vote for me, Terry McAuliffe will have control of the state Senate.
Well, let's talk about that right now, because on paper, and I've said this is a Republican seat. Tom Garrett carried it with about 57 or 58% when he ran just on November 8th. Garrett carried the district running for Congress in somewhat of a competitive race. They had a legitimate candidate there. Trump
she was very legitimate, raised a ton of money. And well-known in the area. So
Dittmer,
very
Jane
tough
Dittmer.
race. And then obviously Hillary Clinton and Trump won at 55-40. So not just on paper, but in reality, it is a Republican district.
Okay,
And
so if you look at it now, I mean, Garrett won handily, Trump won handily, Mark Peake should win this election. But the issue you've got is the independent candidate who is saying that he's the true conservative in the race. But I got to be honest, I asked Joe Hines several times what the differences in policies were between Joe Hines and Mark Peake. And after two times I tried at it, he didn't really articulate anything. So I'm still trying to figure out what the mindset is for the candidacy vis-a-vis you.
And that was an awkward 30 seconds of radio silence when you asked him that question in an interview, and I was listening. It was very awkward. And I got to tell you, last night, except for those three issues where he's clearly not a conservative on minimum wage, right to life, or Medicaid expansion, a lot of times last night, I agree with Mark. It doesn't make sense. I've talked to him. I've met him several times. A very nice guy. He's got some good ideas on economic development. But for the life of me, I cannot understand why he's running as an independent in this race. I just don't understand it. But there were two independents running in the presidential race, and they garnered about 5%. Mm-hmm. And it was 55-40, and then 5% independents. That's what you're going to have in this race, John. And the money numbers are out, and the Democrat has raised a bunch of money. We have raised a bunch of money. We've got to amend our report. We neglected a stack of checks, but we've got over $50,000 in the bank. The Democrat has a chunk of money. We spent almost $125,000, so the Democrat spent $60 or $70. Joe has raised $9,000 or $10,000 or $11,000, the independent candidate, and he's put $50 of his own money. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be outspent. Even if he spends all of his own money, he's only been able to raise 9 or 10. There's just no level of support for an independent in this race. You have Democrats, you have Republicans, and in this district you have more Republicans. And that's the way it is. That's how you have your infrastructure. We've got people door knocking in Lynchburg and Farmville and Goochland. We have people making calls all over the district. We have the Republican parties getting together throughout the district. It's just, and the Democrats are doing the same. They have the infrastructure. The parties have the infrastructure. You have the workers. You have the people who can do everything you need to do, especially in a district this size. Mm-hmm. It's 2+ hours from one end to the other.
Right.
So you just can't be it. And for those guys, they got in with 4 weeks to do it. You just can't hit it. There's just not enough time. I've been doing it for a year, so I've been very fortunate to build up a big base in every section or every locality. But without some kind of party structure or, $1 million, you just can't do it.
Snowstorm coming. What happens?
Snowstorm. Saturday, we've got a lot of events planned on Saturday. I hope it doesn't interfere with those. It seems like it might be more south side, so we might be okay. We're heading out to the eastern end of the district in Goochland and Fluvanna a lot this weekend, so we'll see. But the way you get people to vote in special elections, it's a lot of mail, and we have been doing that, just sending out mailers, and we've been doing it for 2 or 3 weeks at this point. Phone calls, contacts, and door knocking, and we've been doing all of those things. It's the same thing you do in a general election, but there's not as much newspaper coverage and not as much TV coverage, and that's why it drops down. Plus, especially in the Democratic Party, they have a tremendous drop-off from presidential to lower elections, and that's another reason this really favors the Republican. But no matter what it looks like on paper, Republicans have to get out and vote. It is very serious and very important. They have to get out and vote on Tuesday, and that's the message we've been spreading, and that's why we have ads on your show and various other radio throughout the district.
So I
think the Trump people, the people who voted in Trump, are very excited about it. They like winning. They like having conservatives in control, we're still seeing a lot of Trump excitement out there, and they're ready to go vote for us on Tuesday.
Well, I'm certainly fired up about our incoming president-elect, no question about it. I got a text question here from Andy in Lynchburg who says, sounds like Mark Peake is telling you why his opponents can't win instead of why he can win. Can you answer that?
I think we've pretty much covered that, John. I am the Republican in a Republican district. I'm pro-jobs, less taxes, less regulation, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-family. I believe in our Judeo-Christian values. I think that's the backbone of our legal system and of our Constitution. And so those are all the values that I've been standing up for. I've been going across the district for 12 months talking about my values. That's why I won the Republican nomination. I was debating with the grassroots people, answering their questions, meeting people all across the district. That's why I got the nomination. And we've talked about where I stood on the issues, so that's why I'm going to win. I represent the values of the people of the 22nd. I promised to go fight for them in Richmond. That's why they're going to vote for me. You were asking me questions about about the other guys. That's why we were talking about them.
What level of backing have you gotten from the Republicans in the state Senate, from Tommy Norman, et cetera? Have they been there?
Every state senator in the Republican caucus supports me. They have contributed to my campaign. Steve Newman presented a $25,000 check a week ago. The others, $5,000 from Mark Obenchain. The state senators in the Republican caucus fully support me 100%. I have the support of Dave Bratt, the congressman in the Goochland area, the Virgil Good, Robert Hurt, Tom Garrett, the congressman covering the 5th District, Bob Goodlatte, the congressman covering the 6th District, all parts of the 22nd. I have delegates Lee Ware and Peter Farrell at the other end of the district. I have delegates Scott Garrett and Kathy Byron and Ben Klein at this end of the district. I have James Edmonds in the middle of the district. I have Commonwealth attorneys and sheriffs throughout the district. It's the support from the RPV, the Republican Senate caucus and House of Delegates, and the unit committees. All the unit committees are out there working hard, getting signs up, spreading the word, holding meet and greets. I mean, Republicans are extremely fired up about this. They know how important it is. And after winning the White House for the first time in 8 years, we're not about to give up the Senate. And we're going to use this to catapult us to take over the governor's mansion in November. Republicans are fired up. They know I represent their values. They know this election is critical to Republican future, especially once we elect a Republican governor. So people are highly motivated.
Well, here's the bottom line, Mark Peake. If Joe Hines was not in this race, it would be a blowout. So, I mean, it's as simple as that. But if he gets over 10%, it gets a little bit closer. We'll see what plays out. I've got 20 seconds. What's your final message?
We're going to do extremely well, John. We have been contacting Republican voters, moderate voters, regular voters throughout the district. Well, we are going to do extremely well. We have been everywhere. With folks we have contacted, there's no question who they're voting for. They're going to go out and vote for me on Tuesday. It is a strongly Republican district. We are going to get those votes, and we're going to win this seat on Tuesday. So everybody, just remember to go vote. I know your show will remind people next week, and we will do the same, and we'll just keep working. And you got to get the people out to vote, and that's job one, and we are working at it tirelessly.
Mark, if people want more information on your candidacy, where do they go?
PeakeForSenate.com is our website, and then Facebook, Peake for Senate, or Mark Peake for Senate on Facebook. It has all the information, what we've been doing, and what's coming up. So I hope everybody will go check that, and then they can listen to the ads on your show, John.
There you go. MarkPeakeForSenate.com. Hey, Mark, thanks for being with us. Good luck on Tuesday. We will most likely have you back on Election Day, God willing, okay?
All right. Thank you, John.